How can you not be excited for today, for the return after seeing those clips just a couple minutes ago? My name is Formal Casting. Joining me, it is Mendrix once again back to bring you more InterVarsity World of Tanks. Mendrix, you're the vet here. How keen are you for this?
Oh, I'm so keen. We've got some returning teams from last year as well, of course. The champs are back from UNSW, and of course, those who came second, raring to get a little bit of revenge from the University of Queensland. Plus, some of the other teams with not the, I guess you could say, most successful outcomes are also here to show that perhaps things will be a little bit different.
Yeah, things definitely could get shaken up. A couple rosters has changed, but some have stayed the same, as we're going to be showcasing all four of our teams competing in this event today, starting with the University of Queensland taking on UON, and then our friends from across the pond in New Zealand, the University of Waikato, will be taking on UNSW. It's going to be a fun doubleheader. Best of 6, technically best of 5, minimum of 4 matches played. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and what's really great about it as well is that both these teams will get an opportunity to go on attack and defense, of course. And it's always fun with it being a 3v3 format because things can either be super slow or super fast. You're not really going to know what you're going to get. Sometimes my favorite is literally when they just go guns blazing, slug in full send, and when both teams do it, it is a bloody beautiful firework.
That's what I'm hoping to see. I mean, again, we got that sort of highlight package coming in with all the tanks opting for the battering ram strategy. It's always a lot of fun when you go that direction. We are going to be going to our first match very, very soon. Again, it's going to be the University of Queensland taking on UON. The maps for our first round, we're going to be starting on Himmelsdorf. Then we're going to Tundra. And if a last map is going to be decided, it's going to go to Proc.
Can you say the full one? Come on, Paul. Can you say the full name?
Procorva?
Close enough. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah.
I can't believe you. That's my. I only let you do that for me because it's my first Tanks cast, right? So I need to be
exactly.
Put a little bit
through
the ringer.
Put through your through
have to be challenged.
Next time, well, I can't even say it now. Prokova. Oh no, Ka. So there at the end, Prokrovka. Yeah, there we go. At the very end there. It is just. Look, to be honest, like I put it to memory, and you still just tongue ties me every single time. That being said, though, I'm definitely expecting to see a little bit different things, and I believe we are just about to jump into it, Formal.
Yeah, I think we are going straight into our first matchup. Again, it's going to be on Himmelsdorf. Actually pronouncing it correctly this time. Just real quick, though, before we do jump in, I think we can quickly run through our sponsors, without which we cannot hold such an amazing event, starting, of course, with Predator. You can conquer new worlds today with the Predator gaming system. They are the kings of gaming PCs. They are our partner for the AEL, our gaming PC partner, if you want to be specific. You can conquer your new worlds. You can put power and precision into your hands, elevate your gaming experience with every way with the quality and performance thanks to Predator. Now, we'll go over a couple of our other sponsors in a bit because it looks like we're already on the map.
Yeah, very quick little movements here as well. One of the things we're expecting typically with these teams is to have a VK. VKs were very popular in both of that. We do have, as you can see there, for Black, Sapphire, and Pope, already 3K VK36s just hanging out on the side there. Typically, if they couldn't actually, you can only have 2 of one tank on the map. So typically they'll follow through a VK30, just on the flip side of things there, just to keep it pretty easy. But we can see there's going to be a little bit of a mix up there for the other tanks on the other side of the teams, a bit of Cromwells, other little players coming into it. And the Cromwells, the Scotas, and the Buggies tend to be the ones that we see as a special mention afterwards for the tanks. But very slow start for both of these teams here at the moment. Just not too much really happening with, of course, UN being on the attack, but they're taking it slow, not jumping into it straight away. But I do like this spread of defense from the University of Queensland.
Yeah, and I think the University of Queensland is going to be a little bit fortunate, as well as the Cromwell, who just happens to be on the opposite side, being a little bit lighter, should be able to kind of readjust as soon as UON rears their head around the corner. The peaking game's about to start with Pope Gordon kind of leading that charge, and I do believe in just a few moments they will be spotted out. You can see that angle, hugging it as tight as you can. Pope Gordon will be spotted, and there, shots fired. First hit is going to be taken from the UQ side.
Yeah, typically from that angle, even if you do have that first little hit, you can see Pope took that turn very quickly and thought he'd be okay on that side there. But with those 2 shots coming off, that's definitely not one you see right off the bat, is to lose that much HP, especially on your VK, which, of course, as you can see, they're beginning to like hold down these lines. What they want to try and do is just slowly make their way in, maybe perhaps cut off one of the other members here. If they can actually cut off this Cromwell here, you can see if they can catch out North.
They haven't seen him yet.
Might make a move into it, but they managed to get in here. He's not coming around at all, and they can actually just park themselves in a good spot here, as you can see, to start attacking the point and force the defending team out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do wonder how the Cromwell will get a bit more involved. My eyes are kind of on Not Beast, just because they still have that flank potential. They're the only member on UQ that hasn't been spotted yet, as Hot Rod's actually starting to press forward. This is a bold move from UQ, but that's because they're on the point. As you said, it has to force that movement. Hot Rod's going to take a shot. They have been spotted. Scorpio just kind of sitting behind, and now the Cromwell makes its move, spots out Napalmer, but doesn't take the shot. Napalmer was also able to see the Cromwell as that kitey game is happening on the point itself. Shots being fired. Hot Rod taking the brunt of it for the UQ side. Actually has to play very far forward and is getting all of UON kind of stuck together. The Cromwell taking shots from behind. I think UON's in a bit of a bind right now. Pope Gordon's already gone. Napalmer and Black has to try and press it forward, but you can see the Hot Rod is just tanking, pun intended, all of the damage right now, not really taking a lot in return. Although Scorpio is taken quite low, Napalmer is also one touch away from death. It's as soon as that Cromwell getting more involved, UQ is going to take the first point.
Yeah, and really nice play on the side there. They were trying to focus down Scorpio because, of course, they really wanted that T150 be taking the brunt of that damage, as you mentioned, but actually taking no damage at all, and it was just absolutely hopeless the moment that Pope Gordon went down, because then they would have had basically the numbers advantage, just walked him down the side there, and if they couldn't take down Scorpio, that VK was going to be doing extra damage from the side, and that's why it just really is one of those better all-rounders coming across.
I feel as if UON got a little bit too, I want to say, eager to try and make that play, because they were never able to find where that Cromwell was sitting of Not Beast before they kind of punched themselves into that tight spot into the corner, kind of forcing UQ to make their move. And it could have worked, I feel, if the Cromwell had been spotted before or was known to be with the rest of the tanks and it was kind of turned into like a 3-tank rush straight down the middle, but that wasn't the case. I really feel that flank from Not Beast did so much work for UQ, even though they only got one of the 3 kills. A Hot Rod as well in that front line did so much work. I don't know. I just feel like from a strategic standpoint, UQ were fortunate enough to get the better read.
Yeah, the Hot Rod was just at the perfect angle, able to tank those shots from the front. They didn't even want to shoot into that Hot Rod, so they were focusing down that Scorpio. But just look at how much damage he managed to pull out as well. He actually managed to get lead, believe it or not. 1337 was the damage he put in there, getting the 2 destroyers as well. And Not Beast just from the side, also doing a good chunk of damage. So really good play from UQ all around, to be honest.
It feels good, when a little bit of my alma mater kind of steps up a bit, that university just down the road off for a very good start. I gotta flaunt it a little bit. It was a good start for the University of Queensland. That said, I mean, UON, you said before, they are one of the stronger teams potentially in this competition. You have high expectations for them. Do we see them bounce back?
Look, it's hard to say that because, of course, Himmelstoss, I honestly believe it is a little bit defenders favored coming into it. You have very hard angles to get into. Typically, you will get spotted out first, and really your idea of your attack is going to be found first. So that means you are, as the defender, able to reposition. So for them to really come back now on this year, I would expect them to at least have that defender's advantage coming into the map. But that being said, I know UQ is definitely one of our standout teams as well at the moment. They managed to come second last year, so that's something we have to take into account. how they choose to do their attack is what's going to be interesting. Are they going to do that same sort of split up where they're going to slowly make their way in, let one person sort of take that pot shot hit first, and then from there sneak everyone else in, or are they just going to go in as 3 members, look to actually take a destruction of the tanks? Because typically in these matches, they don't really go to that full time. It is normally going to be an all-out destruction. One team will fall down with all their tanks destroyed.
And it should be worth noting, though, with that failed attack, should we go to point number 5 or map number 3, whichever you'd wish to call it, it is a tiebreaker to determine who is on the attack, who is on the defense. And the speed at which or the damage at which that you find the attack is what is going to be measured to be the tiebreaker to determine who's on what side. So pay more attention to your teams, I suppose, when they're on the attack, if you're rooting for one side in particular. When you're attacking, it's more important that you have that stronger performance just so you can get that advantage should we go to that 5th point.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of teams would prefer to be on the attack. I mean, it's all about that idea of being proactive, right?
Yeah.
Having that little bit of extra proactivity means you can run around in that, especially coming to that last map in proc as well. I definitely have a lot of strategies to execute on the side there, but we have to wait and see how this does play out. Again, UQ, definitely one of the teams last season that did manage to actually just take a number of wins underneath their belt early, which is really useful. So it's going to be really up to UN now to show us that they actually have what it takes to, begin to put themselves up on that top sort of seats early, or perhaps they might need to scale later into the game, which we did have a few teams from last season doing as well. Notably, one of the University of Wollongong teams managed to actually start off last at the beginning of the season and make their way back up and actually claw into position. So a lot of good things happening really at the moment, but we have to wait and see now. And I do see things moving a bit quicker here on the side there. The hot rod definitely coming up. And what I did notice about most of these games, which seems to be the same coming into this season, is the fact that the teams will remain on the same tanks that actually came into it.
Well,
there is going to be a bit of a difference with the KV2 coming
and
into
the
it. Typically, they remain the same on their tanks.
Yeah, you're saying that, but I'm also seeing the Skoda from Hot Rod as well. Not Beast is the one who actually kind of switched it back over to the VK. So UQ really changing up their look now that they're on the attack, and they're even attacking the other point that UON decided to sort of abstain from last time around. We have seen the tank spotted. Actually, it was the Skoda spotted out right now, and it's an early spot.
I don't think they've seen the VKs yet, which is important because you can see there's no real movements from the rest of UON. They're still spread out around the map.
Now they got spotted.
Yeah, now they know. So now we should see movements from Blacksify and Pope Garden. They should start to make their way around towards this point 1.
That's a really frustrating spot, I feel like, for UQ as well. They had a chance to actually come from a very unique angle and almost use that Skoda as a bit of a decoy. However, caught out in the rotation. They're going to be kind of pinned down for the time being. No real rush from UON to pressure them out of this, although that shot does a good chunk of damage onto Not Beast. I think that came from Napalmer, actually. He was a bit further back.
Catching him on the side there, wasn't really up on the front side there. He was trying to reposition, and really that one shot coming in does take a good chunk out. And this is rough for UQ because, again, they're not really on any point yet. They don't have any real positional advantage, and that means they're going to have to continue to take a bit of damage just to get themselves into a good spot. Looks like Hot Rod's just remaining here to sort of say, hey, nothing's happening. We're not moving to point 2 at the moment. Nothing's happening at the moment, but these VKs will be taking the long slog and running it around to see if they can actually get a bit of position on point 2.
Yeah, but at that same token, though, like Black XV hasn't moved, so still kind of keeping the eyes out for just sort of a play right now. UON, I mean, they've been in no real rush, no real pressure to like kind of be proactive on their own sense. They've been able to play this passive game. Still a fair bit of time left on that clock, 4.5 minutes before UQ really gets pressured in this situation. Yet with the Skoda still pinned down in Hot Rod, they kind of are in a tough position.
And time is starting to go away. I mean, it's still got 4 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
It is a decent chunk, but they sort of really need to make this next play work. Otherwise, if they have to reposition and try and go back around for one again, it's just too tough. So at this point now, their options are going to be coming to place here, but they do find a shot onto Pope. Looks like they managed to hit the engine there, so he's going to be stranded for a little bit, but that means they're going to get some good shots off, and this is really useful for UQ right now to get themselves in a better position. Oh,
I mean, good damage is being thrown back, though, onto Not Beast as well. This hasn't been the cleanest take from either side. Pope still struggling with that engine as, just unable to move. One more shot should take him out. Not Beast not going to risk it, so the first kill of the map will go to Scorpio on the VK36.
And Scorpio really is just shining at the moment. I mean, he was getting most of the damage last time. He still managed to put out a good chunk, actually more than Hot Rod, who was leading the front side. So shots really on point in this particular match. And what's really nice about that as well is this time around, Scorpio does have a lot of extra HP in that bucket. So that does mean they're going to have one of their better tanks continuing to push forward into it. And then we do have a move here from Skoda as well, trying to get around. Hasn't been spotted. We'll be using that train track there, or that train line and tree line, just to sort of hold back in a safer position. And this could cause a little bit of a UON to buckle. Maybe they're trying to get a big thing, but he did spot
they
him.
know. Yeah, I was about to say, though, the thing is just based on that last position, you'd have to assume that that's the only way Skoda would, or Hot Rod, I should say, would be looking to press forward with that Skoda. That said, Napalmer did get sort of chipped a little bit.
That was a good shot. Oh, I would trade that much HP on the Hot Rod for the KV there, 100%. It was a good shot from Napalmer.
Keep your eyes on Scorpio as well as Not Beast as well. They're starting to move, and no one has seen Black Ziffy yet. Like, Black Ziffy has been able to stay hidden for the entirety of this map so far, and that's got to be weighing on the back of UQ's mind. They have an idea of where Napalmer is, and that's where you're going to see Scorpio and Not Beast looking to make that play. The X factor really is on Black Ziffy, and whether or not they can make an impact as soon as we get around one, maybe two more corners. Fortunately for UQ, they do have the full health tank Scorpio kind of leading that charge.
And Black's in a good spot as well. He's actually got a lot of protection in that position there from the buildings. The big thing, though, is that, of course, he's got a very limited vantage from there because he's just got a little hole to peek through, which is unfortunate on that side. Not Beast, I would recommend slowing down. Letting Scorpio go in first.
You know Napalmer's there. You know it's around the corner. This is a suicide dive. What are you thinking, Not Beast? 3, 2, 1. Nope, hesitation from Napalmer.
He's like, no, I'm dipping. I'm out of here.
You know what? A crazy enemy is the scariest, right? Take some pot shots, I guess, at Hot Rod instead. Not Beast goes right around the corner. It's going to be a bit of a suicide ram attempt. Nope, not even. Does get sniped by Black Ziffy, and Scorpio is actually taken quite low from Napalmer as well. I'd consider this almost a panic attempt due to the time coming from UQ, and it's not going in their favor. Napalmer just soaking up so much damage and allowing Black Ziffy to take those shots back at Hot Rod. Eventually, though, Scorpio is able to break through that front line. Only one tank left standing for UON, and Scorpio's just using the corpse of the teammate right now to try and throw it back. Hot Rod has to be careful. One good shot on him, and that medium tank will be gone. The Skoda is going to try to do what it can, and with this positioning right now from Black Ziffy, eventually, with 45 seconds remaining, UQ is going to have to make a desperate push.
Yeah, and it looks like it's coming through right now. They're trying to group up to bring both the tanks together, see if they can perhaps cause a little bit of the...
Here we go, Scorpio. Can you get the block? No! Just gets instantly capped, and now I don't think the Skoda is going to be able to do it. It's going to try to drive around, try and use that nimbleness to their advantage. They're chipping away at Black Ziffy, and you can see Black, he's trying to turn around. He's trying to find that angle, but the speed on the Skoda hits the wall, but it doesn't go down. The shot ricocheted somehow, someway. Skoda still standing. Hot Rod not gonna get it, and instead it's gonna be UON barely hanging on.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. Trying to use that little bit of extra mobility to get around, and it seemed to be working at that point as well. Black just couldn't really get that turret to move fast enough to get the shot, but the wall MVP right there, stopping him in his tracks, allowing him to get that little bit of extra speed and aim and get the extra shot. And it was a good attempt. It was a good finish all in all. I was entertained, were you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was talking about I want some of those silly shenanigans we saw in like that pre-show video, right? Oh, we got some of them, so that makes it a lot of fun. Also for UON, it's a map well run in their regards. Granted, again, if we're looking at the tiebreakers, should we go to a game 5? UQ currently would have the side selection in that regards just because they were the team that was able to do more damage on the attacking half. But it doesn't matter if either team can go 2-0 on our next map, which, again, just to remind everyone as well as myself, that next match is going to be on Tundra.
Yeah, which will be interesting as well to see what the tank selection is going to be here. Typically, you do start to see the Skodas, the Boogies get popped out here as well. They have a little bit of that better terrain traversing to it, just to sort of get through what seems to be a map that sort of slows these tanks down ever so slightly, which of course is very important when you take that into account. But you still see the VKs coming into it again. I told you those VKs,
yep.
They love to be used and abused. Typically, you see the VK 36-1H bring two across the board, and then sometimes you'll see the VK30 come across as well. I'm really interested to see when they do actually bring out the 3 heavies, but we are typically seeing at the moment 1 medium, 2 heavies on both sides. That's the formations that we've been seeing typically from both seasons right now.
I'm pretty sure UON's gone trip heavy actually both maps. They've been lifting.
Oh yes,
they have
been.
The gym.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
No, they've been
it's
in the
basically
gym.
been it's basically been like you said, 3 heavies versus 2 heavies and medium. Yeah. But that's again, those are the most common formations come into play there.
Yeah, indeed, as we are looking to get ready to go to Tundra, that next map. Real quick, though, before we do send it off to there.
We've got some sponsors, don't we?
Yeah, I gotta finish going through our wonderful sponsors again, who without which we couldn't have this event. We talked about Predator before. However, if you want the best viewing experience to kind of go with your sweet Predator PC, look no further than AOC. They are a global leader in monitor display technology for more than 50 years. They have been delivering an exceptional viewing experience to millions and millions of loyal customers worldwide. Today, that company offers a wide selection of stylish monitors for home, office, or gaming. Hey, you want your pixel perfect shot in World of Tanks? Go get yourself an AOC monitor. It's how you can get those clean snipes right through all the rubble and the debris of Himmelsdorf.
Well, I mean, it's needed. There's a lot of different items there just flying around the map, causing issues as well. Even your own teammates after they've died. Sometimes it's just hard to shoot through them. Let's be perfectly honest. There was definitely a moment there where I was thinking, oh, come on, if Northbeach just moved a little bit sooner, everything would have been fine there. I wouldn't have to deal, move around his corpse along that side. So just, different things happening on that map there. And again, having a little bit of extra viewing would be nice.
Also, real quick, Mendrix, can you turn to the side a little bit for me? Can you tilt your head for me? There you go. Look at that headset. Look how nice it looks. That is a Rig headset, if I am not mistaken.
It definitely is. It definitely
is. Well, we'll talk more about that after this next match, but I will say this, Rig, what it takes to win. They develop headsets delivering superior audio quality for competitive gamers and streamers at all levels. Join the Rig team, enhance your gaming experience as we're about to enhance ours straight onto the Tundra map. As you can see, currently 1-1 in the standings at the moment. UON once again attacking first. UQ on the defensive side.
Yep, and it's going to be 3 heavies once again for UON. UQ, though, going with the tried and tested true for them in this scenario, those double heavies with 1 medium on the fly. And, of course, it's going to be that Cromwell. And I think they do like to have just a little bit of extra mobility, and it seems to be the choice here for Hot Rod. But that extra HP did come to bite them in the behind a little bit, I guess you could say, just in that last match, because at the very end there, if he hadn't taken that initial pot shot beforehand at the early start and then directly afterwards had just a little bit more HP, you might have been able to actually find the kill onto Black.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because UQ really tries to put a lot of emphasis on that medium tank flank. It was successful when they were on the initial attack, on the initial defense, I should say. It didn't quite work out when they were on the attack. So once again, on defense, they're going with Hot Rod on the Cromwell, what they used in their first defensive effort, and I would argue that they were the MVP of that one, despite the fact not Beast, actually, if I do remember correctly, was the one who was kind of holding down that front line when UON made the desperate charge at the end. This time around, though, we are seeing a split sort of formation from UON, sending 1 down the middle, 2 on the side, a different look from what they did in Himmelsdorf. Curious to see how it will play out.
Yeah, it is a good quick move here from here. Pope Gordon seems to be the one right on the top here. Nothing's been spotted out just yet, which is interesting, even though they've got that side. I think they're actually making a move in the other direction here without realizing, but of course they're probably going to have to turn around very quickly when they realize, hey, there's already 2 tanks capturing on that side there. It's already down to 48 seconds there, and they need to start making a move. And they do have Napalm just sitting there on a little bit of, or trying to get a bit of a high ground advantage to make things a bit rough.
That's going to be rough for the Cromwell.
Side here, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching Scorpio on the snipe, but keep a look at the map as well, because eventually Hot Rod's going to be driving straight into onto Napalmer. Here comes the press, though. Scorpio in that front line taking big chunks of damage, but so too is Black Ziffy. Initial exchange kind of going in favor of UQ, actually. UON taking quite low as a nice little sort of, I'll block for you, you block for me. Big burst of damage, and down goes Black Ziffy. Pope Gordon trying to hold the line in a 2v1. Still waiting to see the Cromwell get involved as the long shot from behind is able to take out Scorpio, and Not Beast being forced back, loses some of that engine power, is definitely starting to limp away. Up above, you can see the Hot Rod as well as Napalm are kind of going at it as well. The medium tank's going to try to drive circles as the front line each uses the corpse of Scorpio
I
to
was
try
about
to
to
position
say.
themselves as well. It's a fight on two fronts, and if either of them go in favor of UQ, you feel like UON is going to fall apart. Not Beast feeling confident enough to press forward, actually takes damage in the ramming effect, and Pope Gordon gets the damage back, but up above it is Hot Rod who wins out in the other duel, and here heroic flank from behind, UQ wins the point.
Definitely the cavalry coming in there from Hot Rod. Nice little flank there, taking absolutely, he took a little bit of damage, but basically on close to that 75% HP. So really good attempts there coming in. A nice quick finish for them as well. Just really nice quick saying, yep, we know exactly where they are. Of course, coming in with better shots at the start meant it bought enough time for the Cromwell to come in and find that flank and allowing them to get a relatively easy finish.
Yeah, I mean, relatively easy, I think, is the key word right there. It still turned into a risky play, and I almost wonder if UON was more aggressive in sort of scouting
Oh,
out that
wow.
area had they been able to catch out UQ a little bit more. Maybe it could have gone their way, but that's not the case right now. UQ currently on match point. If they
And
can
look,
find a way to win the first attacking point, they win this match.
and look at that damage from North Beast.
Woo.
2,057. That is definitely MVP there for that round. That was pretty insane considering what it was able to do. Of course, that 250 damage there is pretty much right on the amount of HP, I believe, that was available for Napalm. So
Yeah,
you can see that Hot Rod definitely did everything was necessary there. And Scorpio, he was a good shield, let's be honest.
Scorpio was a good shield, but again, I'm actually a little bit surprised at the lack of damage from Napalmer in that one. Yes, they were able to get that snipe shot on Scorpio during, the initial bout of chaos, but because their damage is so low, and we didn't really see the fight because we were focusing on Not Beast versus Pope Gordon, that tells me Hot Rod kind of just was able to cleanly sort of strafe around Napalmer and get that pick without taking really any damage themselves. So yes, the MVP would be Not Beast for the sheer amount of oof they were dishing out. But you got to give credit to Hot Rod as well in the Cromwell, just being able to outmaneuver Napalmer and really push UQ over that finish line.
And you really do have to take advantage of every single shot in this competition because you can see there before Napalmer, I believe, managed to get one good shot off there. That's up 400 damage roughly that was put out there. But after the fact, there was really not much else. And because, again, you probably had two shots that missed, and then from that point, the Cromwell came in. That could have actually made the difference because if you do manage to land those two shots, the opponent on the other side or the battle of two fronts ends up going down on the other end a bit quicker. And that means you get support coming on through dealing with a damn pesky tank that decides to run circles around you.
Yeah, those medium tanks. I mean, we've seen it a couple times already. UQ not afraid to get nitty and gritty and try to use that speed to their advantage. Two mixed successes. I mean, they were close enough, I feel like, on point number 2 in this matchup back in Himmelsdorf. That makes me think, yeah, I can see why they're sticking with this strategy. Whether or not it'll carry them over this finish line, I mean, it would be a fantastic victory if they're able to beat the University of Newcastle right here, just because, again, last season, Newcastle was that team to beat. UQ came up just that little bit short. Are we already seeing the changing of the guards? I mean, we're on the precipice, I suppose, of finding out.
Well, we'll have to wait and see at this moment in time because it is still going to be an attack and defense in this matter here. UQ, though, looking very strong. It does look like it's going to go something that could go anyway, but in terms of who's winning more convincingly right now, I'm definitely putting my money on UQ.
Yeah, so on my UQ have looked so good. And I believe even if we do see UON take this next map just from the performances on their two attacking sides, again, that's how the tiebreaker is determined. I believe they would have gotten enough damage through that they would be winning in that regards just from those two maps alone. So they would be getting priority in that. UQ is in a very good spot. UON back against the wall, probably not once, but twice. Whether or not we do get to go to that third map, whether or not we get to go to Proc, well, it's all determined by this point right here.
Well, let's see how they do decide to take out the fact that they're going to be in defense. You can see all the members beginning to spread out once again. And the strategies here have been pretty, I could say vanilla. Like typically, I'd love to see like a 3-point defense. Just saying, hey, everyone, just park yourself on one. Let's hope we catch them up here on the end here. But I imagine UQ though they're bringing the three members together, so things might get spicy very quickly.
They also flipped it up. It's now UQ running 3 heavies with UON running the Skoda and the 1 medium. So finally seeing, each team sort of switch up their tank selection as UQ, they're not spreading out at all. They're getting themselves nice and snug at the moment. Eventually, they might look for a couple different approaches. That Skoda is the one tank that's kind of out of position right now. Napalmer probably would be a little bit away from the fight. Ooh, Hot Rod actually was spotted. And let's see how a UON react.
We are bringing members around now as well. Seems that it's going to be Blackify just chilling out once again, but you can see they just want to try and make sure they've got all points covered. They can see what's going to be the point of attack, and all they've seen so far is, of course, Hot Rod, right? They're going to go, oh yeah, well, he's going to be running around the map pretty much most of the time anyway, being that tank coming around the side. They have a little bit of extra speed on these VKs, but now that he's gone a bit dark here as well, they're playing it very safe. They've got 5 minutes and 30 seconds on the timer. I imagine they want to keep running Hot Rod first. You can see that's why they're slowing down their approach at this moment in time, and they're just waiting to bring the members up.
Yeah, Pope Gordon actually driving towards where they last saw UQ, and you still have the likes of Black Ziffy from up above as well, kind of at the end of that train line. Nate Palmer has mildly adjusted as well, so could be taking shots from across the river. Looks like Black Ziffy was spotted out. Hot Rod throws down some damage, and it's a little bit of chip damage. Not a lot to write home about, but definitely perhaps a little bit of a statement like, yes, we're playing for point number 1 right now. It's up to you to react. And Skoda, well, that's doing just that. Nate Palmer starting to rotate around. UQ has a limited amount of time before that flank comes in.
Well, at this moment in time, they realize something is happening here as well, that flank probably isn't going to be able to make that move. You can see he's taking the long way around as well. So
that is, yeah, that's the scenic route.
Yeah, he's literally the scenic route. He's got a road right there. He's like, no, I'm taking the trees here, okay? There's maybe a monolith on the side there, but I do like to see the birds from time to time as well. But this is a really interesting position here because you got 2 heavies now actually coming in to a point that maybe they might be able to actually catch up the Skoda, but
Hot Rod also is the one who stayed behind and could find themselves overwhelmed. The thing is, because that sort of rotate back hasn't been spotted out yet by UON, they're still a little hesitant to really press forward and put pressure on Hot Rod, and that might wind up costing Napalmer their life, because in just a few moments, well, they're going to spot each other, and that's going to kind of reveal UQ's late rotation, but they're also going to spot the flank attempt as well. Shot miss by Notbeast, who's actually taking a good chunk back. Skoda from Napalmer right now doing a bit of damage, and now all of a sudden it's UQ, I feel like, at a tactical disadvantage.
Yeah, that T25 is actually in a really great spot there. You can see none of those shots may be able to find the mark. Just taking one shot directly afterwards, then reversing back in, doesn't mean that he's going to be able to have a little bit of the angle, whereas they're actually quite far out in the open. Those shots were relatively easy to get. And the other thing that's good about this positioning here as well is that it's actually just cutting off options here now for UON.
Yeah,
like, to be honest, they're actually being pushed back closer towards their base. They're not really making any ground at the moment, and they seem to be converged at the moment. Here comes the flank there.
They have to collapse. It's the only way to kind of break this chokehold right now. The question is, how long can Hot Rod hold before the cavalry arrives from over the hill? You can see even Napalmer has been able to drive down the river and get involved, but no one's able to penetrate that front armor. That's the good chunk that we were looking to see. Down goes Hot Rod, but here comes the rest of UQ. They're coming barreling on through, hiding within the corpses of their friends and enemies, and they're getting themselves nice and around Pope Gordon. That's going to leave Napalmer on their own in just a few moments. Surviving on 6 health, yeah, it was a bit of a miracle to hope that that would last. Now Napalmer's on the retreat, UQ on the hunt. How far can this Skoda run?
Yeah, it was looking a little bit dicey there because the depression angle of those turrets just needed them to get over the hill before they could actually do anything. And damn, did they come charging on in. That felt a little bit like the scene from Lord of the Rings when the Rohirrim come charging down the hill and manage just to get rid of all of the orcs. So you can see now they're on the attack here, trying to see if they can make something happen. Like, Napalm is trying to make something happen. All he needs to do now is hold them off for 2 minutes. That's the next play. If he's any tank to be on right now to actually get a win on this defense right now, this is probably the tank for it. It's a little bit quicker than the VKs.
But it's also gets surrounded, right? Like, this is the problem.
He's about to get a good hit there.
Yeah.
Had the front armor, though, but...
I don't know about this one, Mendrix. 2:17 remaining, and you do have the likes of Notbeast coming from behind. One more good shot will give UQ the victory. The question is, can they find it? 90 seconds remaining on the clock. No. It's not going to happen. Scorpio gets the kill, and UQ gets the dub.
Yeah, nice right into the side armor there. Unfortunately, just couldn't get a decent position at the back there. Was literally cornered like a mouse with 2 cats ready to pounce at that point. And again, it looks pretty good there. Everything seemed to be going the way of UAN. They managed to actually push them into position where they were cutting off options. Everything seemed to be there, but perhaps it was a little bit too late when they pulled the trigger to actually go for a collapse on one of the members. And that means that there was enough time for the cavalry to come in with some really good shots to actually just clean up afterwards.
And it's the end result, a victory for UQ. They get it done 3-1. As we take our last look at our map results right here, I want to take a look at this damage in particular coming out of Scorpio, who made that save. But I feel like the MVP is actually the tank who died for UQ. Hot Rod holding off that choke point for so long and just not allowing UON to make any proactive rotational plays while on defense, buying enough time for Scorpio and not Beast to make that saving play. Really well done from UQ right there.
It really is one of those situations where, is a decision to take out Hot Rod Craig there? And you can say, yeah, it is actually. We got 3-on-1 tank. We're going to be able to get in there. We're able to clean this up. Then it'll be a 3-on-2. Everything should be good. But the whole thing that just didn't go their way was how long Hot Rod ended up surviving, the amount of damage that they were able to put out there. Hot Rod did 1,600. That's literally a tank and a half by themselves. So that's pretty impressive coming off the back of that end there. And that does mean it was allowing Scorpio not Beast to come through at the end. The Scorpio, again, doing a ridiculous amount of damage, very consistent throughout all of these maps.
Yeah, consistency at the end of the day was what proved to be key right there. And then sort of mixing up a little bit at the very end to throw your opponents off. So a victory well done by the University of Queensland side. That said, we're still going to have another series for you tonight. It is going to be the University of Waikato. Again, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. UOW, if we want to be specific.
Waikato, I think it's Waikato. No.
Waikato.
Waikato. Yeah, because I was calling it Kato at the start. And then
I think I called it Kato
for
before.
It last season.
Yeah,
they hurt my. Nah, that's not completely good. I think it's completely fair.
Look, for us over here in Australia, it's a hard name to pronounce, and we appreciate your patience in dealing with us year after year in that regards. UOW from New Zealand, they're going to be taking on the University of New South Wales when we do come back. That match is scheduled for 8 p.m. So you do have a little bit of time to get some food, relax a bit, and come back in about a half hour's time for some more World of Tanks action.
Hey, I'm Rose Danielle. I'm a cosplayer, streamer, AV tech, and a massive Destiny fan. I'm going to check out how Destiny 2 runs on the Nitro 5. Look at this. Look, bring the camera in. Look at this. This is running Destiny at highest. It's still hitting 60 frames per second. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. I don't believe it. I cannot fathom that this thing has that much grunt in such a tiny form factor. And there's so much going on the screen at the same time, like particle effects and stuff. And I can barely hear the fans too. If I had headphones on while I was gaming, you wouldn't even hear it. I like this thing. Can I take this? Will you guys mind if I take this? Like actually, hold on. Is this plugged in? This way, smooth, get away. It's fine.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I've been stuck on your memory, but it's not like I need it. And we may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. 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 I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. Can't focus. I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my. I just need to clear my head. Oh, clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. On my mind, succeeded with hope, and you were sure I couldn't agree that we were meant to be. But our love is what they talk about in movies. Our love is what they talk about. Yeah, we were wild and free, and you know everything about me. So wild and free, and you know everything about me. 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 You know everything about me.
Secret superweapons are complex, often attributed to a single powerful mind. They are made possible by the efforts of assistants and junior researchers who rarely get the spotlight. Like Ermelinda Jung, a talented physicist with a spark for all things electromagnetic. Despite being young, Ermelinda contributed heavily to a classified high-tech tank project. But along with that, Miss Jung developed automated sentries for that large-scale vehicle. She even conducted performance testing of the units while piloting various tanks. The Luva was used to assess their targeting, and the T-92 to check their pathfinding. The Sentry's performance was optimized, and so was Ermelinda's. A brilliant young scientist became an aspiring tank commander. Make Ermelinda Jung fight on your side. Pick up the September drop from Prime Gaming. High voltage. Along with the Magnetic Commander, it offers you a choice of 2 out of 6 items. Chocolate, 5 missions for ×5 experience when victorious, and 4 rental tanks, including the Luva and the T-92. You're also entitled to the fully charged decal, the Spark of Genius medal, a day of premium account, and more missions for ×5 experience. Acquire the high voltage package by clicking on the dedicated World of Tanks Prime Gaming page. Link your Amazon and World of Tanks accounts. Proceed by clicking the Allow button and redeem the offer. If you did all that while in the game, just exit and log in again to get all the great stuff. Visit the official site for additional information. Claim high voltage to honor the unsung heroines of engineering and all junior specialists doing their job well, and also some of their superiors' job. See you in battle, Commander.
Hey, I'm Mastro. I'm a Call of Duty Warzone streamer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Predator Helios 300. So my overall experience using the laptop, one thing I noticed straight away was how similar it was to using a desktop setup at home with a standalone monitor, for example. With the high refresh rate in this display, when I was inputting button presses, there was no delay whatsoever. Everything was really responsive. And because of the RTX 30 series graphics card as well, Warzone's a very demanding game, but the laptop was performing very well. And for me as a streamer, one thing I thought about was I could actually take this laptop, if I'm going away and I want to still stream, I would be able to put everything I need into this laptop, my controller, my webcam, plug into the USB ports, and I'll be able to stream on the go as well. So if you're a Warzone player and you want to be able to have an option where you can take it on the go, this laptop is actually perfect for you.
The champs are back. They are ready to take to Himmelsdorf, towing up against UOW in our second matchup of the evening. I am still Formal, still joined by Mendrix. Our opening game is in the books. Looking ahead towards game number 2, I have to admit, no real surprises just yet. Maybe UOW can be the team that shocks.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely going to be a little bit of that X factor coming into it. They didn't have the best run last season, but of course they've had quite a bit of time now to level up, basically get themselves into a position where they could perhaps take on UNSW, which would be definitely a good showing, especially in the first match of the season. And what's really nice about this as well is the Grasshoppers were definitely one of the teams that like to experiment, bringing a few different tanks, sometimes the artillery into the mix. Although UNSW typically had a very fast, well-paced style. So sometimes if you do decide to bring an interesting strategy to it, it could just be blown out of the water by straight mechanics. So I'm really interested to see how it does play out, purely because I just want to see what level UNW is at now.
Yeah, I'm also kind of curious to see what level the UNSW is at as well, because they, a little bit of a gap since we've last seen them play. I believe the lineup is largely still the same from what it was last year, so the expectations should still be just as high. Yet, hey, you say it's a well-paced game. From what I gathered, it's just a very fast one. They seem to be the team that wants to go in, win fast, knows, yeah, we're going to shoot faster, we're going to drive and position ourselves better. We're just going to win by being, more experienced at the game than you are. And I feel as if, the unorthodox strategies often is the best way to counter that.
Well, absolutely as well, because especially I think there's a saying from one of my favorite sayings: the best swordsman should not fear the second best swordsman; they should fear the novice.
Yes.
Because who knows where that novice is going to swing the sword and at what time? You're expecting the second best swordsman to make proper swings in particular ways, but to be honest, if it was the worst swordsman, they just pull out a gun at that point, and you're like, "What? Where did that come from?
Yep.
That's not allowed." And next thing you know, you're out of there, right? Then
just pull out a KV. That's what you got to do. Someone comes at you with a sword, just jump in your KV, and you're good to go. I feel like that's the correct solution.
Bring out the big shell calibers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Those nice big hits when you get the opportunity for it. And it is nice to actually have a little bit of a bit of difference coming to it, a bit of I guess you could say variety bringing out from the VKs. I mean, we saw a lot of VKs beforehand. I said we're going to see the VKs. I'm expecting VKs from UNSW, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's why maybe just maybe a little part of my heart might be biased to UOW in this matchup. I mean, you can only go up from where you were before. Like, that's got to be their motto. That's got to be what they're hoping for. And with the smaller playing field, perhaps they're going to find their way to come out on top. Again, it's going to be the same 3 maps on rotation as last time, even though we didn't see Proc. We did see Himmelsdorf. That's where we're going to be going to first. Following that, it will be Tundra. And should we see a winner out of those 2, then we don't even need that third match. However, 4 maps are going to be played guaranteed. So even if a team does go 3-0, we still play that 4th point.
Yeah, you need to find out, right? Just got to see what happens. I think sometimes there tends to be the spiciest matches as well. If someone does win 3-0, we're talking mad scientist strategies come into play, right? That's the time when everyone's like, even the winning team's like, okay, I'm just going to run 3 artilleries now, and let's just see what happens. And hopefully they don't rush us.
I mean, if anyone feels the want or the desire to play 3 artilleries, I'm going to say is yes, you might not win that point, but you will win the hearts of us behind the casting desk and maybe the hearts of those at home. And you know what? Sometimes I think that's a prize well worth winning. So hopefully that does get played out. Probably not hopefully, actually. In reality, we kind of hope that doesn't get seen. But still, it would be fun.
That's what we're here for as well. A little bit of this is, it's nice to come out on top and obviously take the prize, but this is also a bit of fun for the players to jump in, get a little bit of competition, get to try things out that's a little bit different as well. So really love the fact that, the sponsors and of course AEL helping us bring this all to you right now. So I am very happy for it, to say the least as well, purely because these games are definitely exciting. There are times when my adrenaline does kick in. I definitely saw it at that first match there beforehand when we had a hot rod just trying to run around and not get shot, hit right into the wall. That was damn entertaining. So can't wait to see more action.
It's always fun when the highlight of the first matchup is the one game that the team that wound up losing was able to take away. That said, it does sound like our first match is loading in at the moment, so too shall we. We'll be jumping on to, the battlefield at any given moment at this stage. If we were to pick a favorite, probably University of New South Wales, but that doesn't mean we're not giving up hope. We are at Himmelsdorf as we see it. Again, it is University of New South Wales. They're kind of more that reddish team. UOW, they're the more golden one. UOW is on defense for our first point.
What did I say?
VK.
Yep. It's just such a good tank. I mean, just look at it. Look at it. They're running both like a 236s and a 30. It's just, you can't go wrong. You really cannot. It's just the best all-rounder. They all have ridiculous amounts of HP, good armor, good damage. It really is that tank that does everything you want to. I love to see, again, I do like seeing the Cromwells come into the play, the Scoters, the BUGs. The BUGs actually have been used by UNSW. They do have that sniper capability to do some real good damage from afar, and I believe we've seen Asian Penguin crack that out from time to time. So that's something that we may see a little bit of a difference here. But right off the bat, both these teams wanted to make a strong statement. So let's bring the strong heavy tanks.
Yeah, and let's also just try to drive them straight down our opponent's throat. University of New South Wales not changing up too much of their strategy from last year. They're going straight for that point, and that's going to cause UOW to react. You do have Cthulhu looking for perhaps that first shot back the New South Wales way, although no tank has been spotted yet. Again, just hiding right behind that corner, but UOW knows exactly where the majority of the University of New South Wales are sitting.
That's literally the corner that every single attack, I honestly believe, it comes into play here. It just seems to give you the best angle. It's right on the tip there. You're basically asking the defending tanks to come around the corner, actually force the fight there. It really is now up to what's going to be here for UNSW to actually make this play. But let's see how they do come around. Skelmis making that move here. A few shots coming off, but not that big damage there. Asian Penguin definitely coming out the worst there.
Yeah, however, it does sort of reset that timer, which is all what realistically UOW needed to do, and now New South Wales is going to try to back away. Throughout it all, though, should be worth noted that Epic was never spotted, sort of sitting on that flank a bit further back. You would think UOW will have an idea where they're sitting, and they're going to be keeping an eye on that alleyway just to the south of them along aisle 5. Whale, in fact, actually driving straight up, and we could see both of the flankers start to run into each other from around the corner. Whale trying to park themselves, though Epic,
yeah,
I think,
he's trying to put himself in a spot where he's not going to hit so quick. He's trying to not put himself in a bad shot like there, but immediately takes the hit there. Does do a little bit of return damage, but look at where Epic's actually positioned, using that terrain near perfectly. It's going to be hard to land a good shot there back towards Epic here. So Whale really fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, and I mean, Whale doesn't really need to exert that much pressure here in this situation as well, because again, they are on that defending side. Time technically in their favor, but no, it's UOW once again having to force the University of New South Wales back out of that corner. Not really going their way initially, although Arcadia does take a bit of damage on that second volley. It's Skelemis who's coming out worse for wear. Epic trying to rotate around to provide a bit more cover fire as the first tank falls. It is Skelemis, and now Cthulhu has to hold off 3 hungry members from the New South Wales side. That last member going for the long flank around, and I don't think they're going to get there in time to save their teammate. Asian Penguins taken low, but not out, and it is Whale versus the world.
Yeah, and it's going to be really rough now as well. Whale didn't realize that was going to be a quick move coming around there from Epic to come in for that support there. And this is what we're talking about with UNSW. The moment they see an opportunity, the moment they smell weakness, they just absolutely strike, bringing both their members around. And it was literally no hesitation coming into it. They knew exactly who the focus targets were going to be. The communication was there. And this is why they were the team that won last year.
And now Whale has to try to make this heroic stand, especially with 15 seconds remaining before the point is captured. Whale's realistically only got one play at this and has already been taken down a good chunk of health. Good shot coming from the UOW side. And you can see right here, a lot of places for Whale to go. Starting to get rushed down by Epic, and that will do it. Point number 1 goes in favor of New South Wales.
Yeah, and they didn't even lose, okay? They didn't even lose a member off the back. The Asian Penguins definitely are what I considered to be absolutely dead, but literally, like as a wise man once said, doesn't matter if you stay alive by a mile or stay alive by a slither, you're still alive at that particular point in time. So really well played. They're definitely juggling that damage effectively across the board here. And again, nice, real effective plays in terms of what they decided to make it very clean in the movements. And you can see why they're considered to be the team to take it out again.
Yeah, UOW was always playing catch-up, which is a bit awkward when you're on that defensive side, but University of New South Wales, they controlled the movements of their opponents so efficiently by applying pressure at the correct moments, luring members up into that flank from up above. I mean, credit to Epic for that one, just sort of holding down that line. And there was not much Whale could do to fight through it up there just because of the terrain play. And in the end, it is a relatively clean victory for the team in gold. They'd love to win this next map as well, get themselves a 2-0 lead. It was a bit shakier for the University of Queensland when they found their series victory. Although, as we've seen in this map, I mean, historically, the defense has actually kind of been winning out. That was the first time we saw the attackers win. I feel like that makes it even more of an uphill battle for our underdogs.
Absolutely. And the other thing to take into account here as well is you could see the way they were actually able to move around as the battle changed. So one of the things that was happening there, you can see, Asian Penguin's taking a bit of damage. He's going to tuck himself into, or actually behind, the corpse of one of their enemies before they have a little bit of extra defensive. Then, you have the follow-on through there coming across from Epic, and of course the rest of the team coming around to sort of say, yep, we're actually going to push ourselves into a spot we're going to be also protecting you at the same time. This allows them to still get the shots out, still be putting out some damage there, but of course is going to remain relatively safe. And it really does make those decisions so much harder when you're on the opposite end of that stick, because you're trying to figure out, I want to get the shot on this one, but it's just too damn protected, and there's two threats already in my face at that point. And that's what it is. It's just about applying that pressure at those right spots.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a lot of pressure at those right moments. A learning experience perhaps for UOW, as they are still constantly improving, but it does put perhaps a damper on any hopes for that upset. Crazier things has happened, though. We will see where this next map goes. We're just a few moments away from getting straight back into it. I'm kind of curious to see how, such an aggressive team does play defense on a map that does reward sort of that passive play at times. We'll be able to see if they still continue that style. If they do opt to mix it up, do we get anything away from those heavy tanks? Because I want to see what a team like New South Wales does if they actually go for more mediums and, dare I say it, even light tanks, and play to some of that strength in that repositioning.
Well, when you do add variety to the tanks, it gives you more options. So that's when we get to see the flanks coming in. That's when we get to see those other sort of movements around the map. Perhaps you get an SPG and you can sit back a little bit and actually force people into bad positions, get the spot and say, this is where they are, start taking that shot from afar and really put that damage in with those high caliber shells. But the problem is, of course, is the team that's so practiced on this, which is UNSW. If you do take the very standard heavies, your play style is a little bit narrowed. You have to be good in terms of the shots you can take in. You have to be quick in the communication and the movements, because really you don't have as many options into it when your gameplay is just so linear. And that's what seems to be the strength and also the weakness of those tanks.
We'll see how they're going to be able to bounce it back. Game is currently loading as we speak, which means just any moment now we will be going on for our second point. See, there it is right there. Look at that beautiful ruined city of Himmelsdorf. I don't know why I call it beautiful.
It's breathtaking, formal.
Yeah, just the grays mixing with the darker grays takes your breath away. I like
a little bit of white. A bit of a grayish white.
There's some green. There's some greenery there. Also, I love the synergy of the New South Wales skins right there.
I'll think about this. I love the synergy of the burning boat in the background. So you just see a ship. Man. Look, the Navy's here as well, just to let you know.
Yeah, look, there are some beautiful maps in this game. Himmelsdorf, maybe not the prettiest, but still, it is so iconic just for that castle up above. A bit of a shame that neither of our schools have opted to sort of attempt to tame the castle like we did see in the past. But speaking of being seen, all three members of UOW have been spotted out on this rotation.
And typically the move seems to be that point too, but you can see the positioning there from the team there, just deciding to make sure, we're going to be able to see everything that's happening there. UNSW understand that they sort of need to make their moves through these certain corridors. And again, even though it's going to be the three members coming in up strong here, Epic once again just abusing that terrain in a fantastic position.
Ooh.
Does manage to get a shot off, but is the person that comes out worse at the end of the day when that lick comes through.
Yeah, Whale as well as MBS have each been able to get good chunks of damage. Granted, MBS also did get hit quite hard, as we see Asian Penguin starting to chip away at Whale as well, looking to try to play that terrain game back. As this is happening, UOW do have the option to move themselves deeper, but they're still being spotted doing, well, quite the opposite. They're trying to hold this line. They want to fight down this street, and so far these trades, while they have been more even than in the past, it does feel kind of University of New South Wales skewed.
Yeah, Wales trying to dance as best as possible, just sort of like to move in and out, perhaps bait out a few annoying shots there, but doesn't seem to have any of that advantage. Manages to get through there, does get across without taking a little bit of extra damage in the end. And you can say, I'm dancing back and forth. None of you are going to take the shot. I'll try to move now. And of course, UNSW does manage to land a little bit of an extra hit, but when everything is said and done, there has been some decent damage returned, but you can see who's the clear victor just out of that skirmish.
Yeah, now Whale is in pressure of being rushed down by both Epic and Asian Penguin. Meanwhile, up above, just keep your eyes on that map because Arcadia should be able to hold on with that other attack as well. Epic around the corner gets the first kill at the second point, and that's going to prompt a very dire situation for UOW. They get onto that corner, they tick away at the point. Arcadia has to press forward, but it's the flank that's going to do the damage. Skellymiss just getting absolutely shelled. So too is MBS. They're attacked on two fronts, and they're not getting any damage back against the side of the University of New South Wales. Skellymiss versus the world is going to try their luck against Arcadia and come out worse for wear. That's the victory going to the University of New South Wales.
And you can just see the difference as well in terms of that play there, because normally the strength of actually going for that point two is you can sort of just park those two tanks there on the side there. You're generally covered by another tank just sitting from behind as well. It bottoms up, right, Max? A little bit of an extra little hit there as well. Got a hydrate, got to stay put into it as well. And everything that comes there is normally like a little bit of an extra strength because there's only two options for you to get in. Either that corridor from behind, which is normally being covered by a tank, or straight into the face of the enemy trying to attack the point at that exact moment. And because they took too much damage making their way in through those corridors, they weren't able to get in a position to actually defend that main corridor as Epic came flying on through. As soon as they managed to get themselves onto that point, they had already covered the corridor. That's normally very hard for them to get through into. They normally have to take a few shots before you can get around there. They pretty much had that on lockdown. So that meant that there was no retreat available for the Grasshoppers. They had to basically back into two tanks as well. And of course, shelling that was coming across from the other direction from, I believe it was Acadia, was just too damn much. And that damage from Asian Penguin definitely coming up trumps as well. 1,700. That man knows how to shoot.
Yeah.
Like I said, Bird, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right, that's a rant for another day. Penguins, not birds. That's all I'm going to say.
What are they then? Okay, what would you call a penguin?
I don't know. Whatever you'd call a platypus, all right? An abomination. Look, University of New South Wales, 2 points, 1 tank lost, 5 tanks surviving. Like, they've only lost 1 member so far within those first 2 rounds. That's a very dominant showing, and they're currently 1 point away from securing this match in their favor. Once again, we are going to be going to Tundra. However, from what we learned in the past about Tundra, again, that map, even more so almost than Himmelsdorf, that speed, that decisive decision-making, it's going to come up trumps at the end of the day. I feel like it plays into their strengths, and I'm really worried for I'm really worried for New Zealand right now, UOW, in this upcoming map.
What I'm going to be interested to see is if Asian Penguin does swap out what the signature VK that all the teams love to use for that BUGI that I've seen him perform on in the past, right? I really do think this is probably an opportunity for him to do so. You have a lot more open areas to cover. It's got a bit of I believe it does have a better depression angle as well, which means you can find yourself some pretty decent shots from different areas around. And that does mean that you do get a little bit of extra hits in before they have the opponent to find an opportunity to get it. Plus, the BUG is a little bit more lighter when it does have the ability to make them move around. It is going to be a medium tank, so it does have the ability to dance around the opponents a little bit better. But whether that happens is going to be really up to see at this point, because to be honest, those VKs, they're definitely doing the job now for UNSW.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing the job for every player, realistically, but especially so for New South Wales in this one. And that's kind of why I'm going to be, maybe a little bit Debbie Downer on sort of the mix-up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's been working really well for the New South Wales side. It's actually UOW that I want to see kind of employed the strategy you were talking about, because if they're able to sort of speed up their own tempo, maybe be a bit more successful in firing those flanks, this match can turn back in their favor. Map is loading up once again as we speak. We're going to be jumping on to the Tundra any given moment now. Again, this matchup on the line, UNSW. If they get this point, we still will play a 4th one, Mendrix, but they will have secured the match in their favor.
Yeah, and perhaps we might see something a little bit different as well. Perhaps a different strategy, which could possibly get the win here. The Grasshoppers as well, if it is going to be taken away by UNSW. But I have high hopes. something that could make it happen here. It's not going to be Asian Penguin, but it's actually going to be Epic in the BUGI. So this is what I was talking about. A little bit of a different change there in terms of bringing that tank along there, because you do have the ability to land some decent snipes. It's got nice attacks on the back end of it, and I'm looking for a good position on that way.
It's also just so much smaller and easier to hide. I feel like that could be a personal sense of, you know, whenever I do try to pick up this game. But I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of, you know, Epic in this matchup. They were a bit of a sharpshooter on our second point. Meanwhile, our defenders are going to have Whale try to play the bridge. Everyone else kind of working more to that left-hand side, being more aware of control point 2 as opposed to control point 1, which fortunately for them does seem to be where New South Wales may have their eye on.
Yeah, and I think they're just trying to make sure they control all the real entrances into it. As you can see there, they do have control of both those points. Whale's been spotted out, but, you know, so has Epic at this point. A few extra shots come through, and Epic technically worse for wear in terms of effective HP, but I do believe he did take more off that shot when it landed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chip damage, I would say, both ways. A pretty even outcome at the end of the day, although it does cause Arcadia and Asian Penguin, to start rotating straight away. Whether or not they get spotted by Skelenus, we're about to find out as they make their way onto the point. Skelmis. Yeah, well, they do spot him. Arcadia and Skelmis have seen each other. Asian Penguin still hidden, although, again, it kind of says on the screen right there, 2 tanks on point. They would have a general idea of where Asian Penguin is, and the reaction coming out of the side of the University of Waikato, it's a bit of a slower one.
Yeah, this is why being proactive and actually getting yourself into position is the better spot, because now they're using the fact that they have the terrain to get a little bit of an uphill battle there as well. Does add a bit of protection to the tank, because it is going to be able to benefit from showing itself, or not showing as much of the turret as on the side there, but Epic might be caught out here in this little slugfest as well. He's trying to get himself there, but he took some damage.
Well, I mean, it's all about buying time, right? Eventually, UOW, they're going to have to play it forward, and you can see Skelemus going straight through that fence. You have Cthulhu waiting behind them. Whale is being zoned out by Epic. They have to stop the capture, and they do get a bit of damage down onto one member, and that will slow the capture for now. However, it's coming at a lot of health against Skelemus, who's taken quite low. Epic still trying to hold back Whale, but the frontline fight is already going majorly in New South Wales' favor. Cthulhu has to back away, so too is Epic, but that just opens the floodgates as Whale is pelted by the 2 New South Wales members sitting on the point. Cthulhu has to retreat to try to replay it. Meanwhile, Skelemus was sort of found out as Arcadia and Asian Penguin now trying to make a flank onto Whale. Shot from behind. Cthulhu actually gets a nice bit of damage down onto Asian Penguin as we play Ring Around the Rosie. Don't cheat, New South Wales. You're going to go the wrong way, and, well, it might give them the win this time. Whale, maybe Susses is out, could back up the other way as we play the game of peekaboo around the AOC Mountain. Thank you once again, AOC, proud sponsor of this event, as Asian Penguin and Arcadia now start to slay fire Whale in the river. That front line ramming speed, no damage done either way. Asian Penguin laying into Whale. Arcadia got that second shot through. Penguin and Whale, the 2 animals in this matchup, could be the 2 that fall, leaving us with Arcadia and Cthulhu, yet Penguin still standing. He's going to get one more shot off, gets a decent chunk of damage with it, and now Cthulhu is completely surrounded. Oh, comical imagery, but not enough to take him out just yet. 16 versus over 1K. Yeah, that's going to go University of New South Wales way.
And really, again, it just comes down to them making those moves at the right time, being controlled when they do jump in, picking that target fire appropriately and getting that extra damage. And it really was that scenario. There was a moment I saw Cthulhu go for a shot and just missed it by a little bit on the side there. That little bit of damage does really begin to add up, because if you do manage to land that shot after you kill the other member, less for you to work through directly afterwards. But unfortunately, you could really see that their target firing was absolutely on point, and does mean that once again, UNSW do come out on top. Yeah,
they win it, but that third point was probably the hardest of the 3 that they had to fight for. That one got very scrappy very quickly, and a lot of that did have to kind of catch out on that flank in the play, and fighting it on 2 different fronts usually kind of went in favor of New South Wales in the fast, but the fact that it was like 2 even fighted fronts, I think, was a little bit different for them. In the past, it would be a fight on 2 fronts because they were able to outmaneuver their opponents. Not so much the case for that third point, and that's the little bit of improvement perhaps that we want to see coming from UOW moving forwards. They showed that they could go toe for toe, and had a couple more shots hit, like you were saying. They maybe could have even won that point.
Yeah, it is definitely night and day in comparison. Like they've definitely come up more prepared coming into this competition, and that means like incremental improvement isn't as far away as it was before. I think they say, hey, if you were to pit me against a professional swimmer, as I currently am now, and said if you beat him you get 50 grand, I'll probably go like, what are you talking about? I'm not even going to bother, right? But if you said to me, hey, what if it's just against a state swimmer? All right, I might give that a shot. You know what I mean? And the idea of having a lot less of a distance to actually have to push yourself forward to get yourself to being even against this team really does go a long way in this competition, because you still have a few weeks to actually catch up in that skill level.
Yeah, and it's the same thing too with like I'm gonna like go a bit more broad scope with a lot of AEL's intervarsity games as well. I mean, you see the same things in Rocket League all the time, where the teams that start off maybe at bottom middle of the ladder after a couple seasons, all of a sudden they're more fighting towards the top. That improvement is something that you have to work towards, that you have to build towards throughout each season and throughout each event. So I'm glad to see, even in this series, that being put into effect. UOW starting to claw back, and who knows, maybe they can get a map off of New South Wales. Yes, they're kind of just playing for pride at this stage, but it could be super fun to see.
Exactly right. Bragging rights definitely seems to be that. I was the one that finally managed to take a game of UNSW. That sort of concept comes into it. And it was tough to even win one game of UNSW in the past as well. Definitely was a little bit tougher when in those finals, because UQ definitely knows how to make them, makes them run for their money. Basically, they have their work cut out for them if they do go up against UQ. So I'd be interested to see how that match comes up next time. But that being said, it is definitely coming up a very strong for UNSW at this moment in time. Already got the win now. They can probably chill out. I wouldn't mind if they do happen to lose a match purely because they're running something a little bit zany.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, go for the fun play right now. Let's get, triple Artie or something like that. I still think that's probably the worst strategy I've ever heard. Yeah, I mean, it could work, right? I want SU 100 shotgun. That's what I
want. Fair enough.
Like,
well, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I do want to see some tank destroyers. Let's be honest. Sure. It's just too many heavies and too many medium tanks. Even on, you know what, it'd be funny. Even if they just bring like three EBRs into the match. That'd be great. Just give us something a little bit off the jib there, a little bit of fun, and that'd be really nice too. And let's see what we get. So we've got a Cromwell at least.
Yeah,
it looks pretty standard.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's about as fun as we're going to get today, I suppose, is that Cromwell. Look, this is our final point, and again, New Zealand, UOW, can they get one last point on the attack? It does look like they're setting themselves up to take a play on point number 1, which is where we kind of saw the last point taken last time by the University of Queensland. They made a play onto point number 1, although admittedly it was a lot more patient, as this is a very quick, very outside rotation. That Cromwell is going to get spotted quite quickly by Epic 389.
Yeah, he still hasn't been spotted as well. Now I reckon I have to take that shot. He manages to get a shot off and still without being spotted. So like, Skullmus is like, where is that even coming from there? Another shot comes through as well, already down to 20% HP. Is like in full retreat now, and Epic with the BUG. This is what I'm talking about. The absolute snipers when they put it in that right position there, soloing a tank outright and just walks away. That's literally a moment that you can see Epic pulling back there and walking off. That's a cool guy not looking at the explosion.
Yeah, there is nothing in that I can realistically Skelebus doing unless you want to take some blind pot shots, but that's never going to be advisable. And now UOW on such an awkward back foot, because through that death, through that inference, you can assume that, UOW is going to be on the right side of the map, and you can see the rest of UNSW sort of reacting in kind. They're getting themselves set up so that as soon as UOW starts to press forward, they're going to get spotted, probably by that Bugie, as you see right there. Yep, first chunk of damage goes down onto Whale, as we see the desperate play come from the UOW side.
Yeah, they're making that move in right now. They don't have their turrets turned in that direction, so they're just trying to A-line right on through, but Whale is definitely taking the brunt of that damage, and every shot just lands. Epic really knows how to shoot.
Yeah, where are they aiming their barrels at this stage? I'm a little bit confused on this one, but hey, they get on to the point.
It's like they're doing a dance, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just bizarre. As Cthulhu now is going to get shot from behind as rotating back from that village. Here comes the rest of the University of New South Wales. Epic was spotted out, but so too was Whale, as they did sit on the control point and were blasted away. Cthulhu has to get some damage on someone. Do we see a perfect point coming from New South Wales to end it. Not quite. Cthulhu gets the damage down on the Epic before falling.
He's
they
trolling.
salvage
He
something.
took damage.
They salvage something, but it's not going to be enough. New South Wales wins the series 4-0.
Oh, what a way to come around there. That is just absolute domination at the very end there. You know what they say is the first game just has to be a statement, right? Even if it's mind you, like, they made a statement in the first round. They definitely made a statement in this entire match. They wanted to say, hey guys, we are here to play. Even if we've already won the round, we want to make sure that we are going to come into it as cleanly as possible.
Yeah, that first point. What did I just say?
Yeah, give a little bit.
What number did I just make up?
A bit of proc came into there as well. I feel.
Yeah, some
that
proc.
That map just haunting you a little bit came into the side.
Some Himseldorf, or whatever I was calling it.
Isn't that your favorite map? Because if things are going south, you just drive your tank off the edge.
Exactly. I mean, everyone should realistically. Not on Himmelsdorf, but on Himsel. What was I don't even remember. Himsydorf. Yeah, Whimsydorf. Look, end of the day, strong showing for the University of New South Wales. That fourth point, arguably their strongest point. Epic popping off on the BUGI. The Bugi did a fantastic job. Yeah,
that
1,090.
is disgusting.
All 3 kills as well.
That's an MVP right there. If I had to really point one out, 2,276, 0-0 for Skelmus and Whale, and it just really. I don't even want to say it's because Skelmus and Whale played that horribly. I mean, there would definitely as a point in time when one of the members was shooting their barrels in the wrong direction. But the other thing that really comes into the fact here is that again, Epic just is an absolute monster when he's on the BUGI. And I thought it was Asian Penguin, but now I remember Epic also just using that to great effect in the past. So again, both of these players, or really the whole team from UNSW, know how to give us a show, really.
Yeah, and what a show it was. What a way to kick off another season of World of Tanks here at AEL. But before we sign off, one more time, would like to thank our wonderful sponsors for this event, starting once again with Predator. Conquer new worlds today with Predator Gaming. They are our gaming PC partner, funnily enough, of the AEL. Look, I have a Predator PC myself, well, laptop PC. It's a gaming laptop. It's pretty sick. I enjoy it. It puts that power and precision in my hands. I get to elevate my gaming experience in every way with quality and performance thanks to Predator. So you should go out there and check them out, as well as AOC, the global leader in monitor display technology. And funnily enough, having, the mountain where one of the more exciting fights was able to play around. AOC just always finds the best way to get involved with their exceptional viewing experiences, thanks to millions of loyal customers worldwide. Today, this company offers a wide selection of stylus monitors from home, office, or gaming. And RIG, I mean, you got to show it off before, Mendrix. They're a pretty slick, sleek, well-designed headset. I'm jealous I don't have one. They develop headsets delivering that superior audio for competitive gamers and streamers at all levels. Join the RIG team today and enhance your gaming experience. And you know what? If you want to find out more about AEL or more of these upcoming events and live streams, check us out at /Oz Sports League, AUS Esports League on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can also find us at /AEL Uni and /AEL Uni 2. Even right now, I believe, that Rocket League should be being played.
Very true in that sense. And there's one thing I could say right now. I'd love to do a catwalk for Rig. Okay, guys?
Do it. Show it off.
I mean, I won't stand up here because then it'll completely ruin my green screen. But if I could have a catwalk green screen, I would do it. Okay, 100%. I'd be like walking and just be like, yeah, check it out.
Maybe we can set that up for next week. I think that could be a direction we could go to go alongside our 2 great matches. It's going to be the same time, same place. UQ versus the University of New South Wales, followed by UON versus UOW. That's what's going to be on store next week. On behalf of myself and Mendrix, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Neptune and Nuttery working behind the scenes. It was Neptune on the spectating, Nuttery working the broadcast. And until next week, we'll see you then.
Hey, I'm Mastro. I'm a Call of Duty Warzone streamer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Predator Helios 300. So my overall experience using the laptop, one thing I noticed straight away was how similar it was to using a desktop setup at home with a standalone monitor, for example. With the high refresh rate in this display, when I was inputting button presses, there was no delay whatsoever. Everything was really responsive, and because of the RTX 30 series graphics card as well, Warzone's a very demanding game, but the laptop was performing very well. And for me as a streamer, one thing I thought about was I could actually take this laptop, you know, if I'm going away and I want to still stream, I would be able to put everything I need into this laptop, my controller, my webcam, plug into the USB ports, and I'll be able to stream on the go as well. So if you're a Warzone player and you know you want to be able to have an option where you can take it on the go, this laptop is actually perfect for you.